Today, the Supreme Court delivered a major decision striking down Hawaii's controversial gun law in a 6-3 ruling. This changes where millions of Americans can legally carry firearms for self-defense. The case centered on whether states can ban guns from most public places and private businesses by default. Hawaii's law made it illegal to carry a gun in most places, restaurants, stores, even parks, unless the owner posted a sign allowing firearms. Gun rights advocates argued this erased the right to carry in public, and the court's majority agreed. Gun control supporters warn this will make public spaces less safe, but gun owners see it as a victory for self-defense rights. The ruling clarifies the court's 2020 Wanain Droskain Surster and Deeptindin Sons Wundindin Dinsinde Stan, which set a stricter test for gun laws. They must align with the nation's historical tradition. Today's decision applies that test to carrying guns on private property open to the public. The court made clear that states can impose sweeping restrictions that make carrying a firearm nearly impossible for law-abiding citizens. The 6-3 split highlights deep divisions on the court and in the country. Justice Thomas wrote that the Second Amendment is not a second-class right. Dissenting justices warned the decision could lead to more guns in more places, with potentially tragic consequences. The nation now faces a new legal landscape for gun rights and public safety. Hawaii's law, passed after the 2022 decision, was among the strictest in the country. It banned firearms from government buildings, schools, parks, and nearly all private businesses open to the public. Unlike most states, Hawaii made carrying a gun illegal by default unless a business posted a sign welcoming firearms. Few businesses did, so concealed carry was effectively banned in most places. State leaders argued this was a common-sense safety measure and respected property owners' rights. Supporters said it followed America's tradition of regulating weapons in public spaces. Gun owners, however, felt their permits were useless if they couldn't carry where they needed protection. They argued the law was so restrictive it amounted to a total ban on public carry. This clash between public safety and self-defense rights propelled the case to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court heard two powerful arguments. Gun owners said Hawaii's law made it nearly impossible to exercise their right to carry for self-defense, turning a right into a rare privilege. They argued criminals would ignore the law, leaving only law-abiding citizens disarmed. Hawaii and gun control advocates countered that the law was a reasonable regulation to prevent gun violence and protect property rights. They said crowded commercial areas should be considered sensitive places, where states can limit firearms. The opt-in system, they argued, respected business owners' choices. The court had to weigh the right to bear arms against the rights of property owners and the need for public safety. The roots of today's decision go back to the 2022 case. That ruling set a new standard: gun laws must match the nation's historical tradition from the time the Second Amendment was written. After 5 states like Hawaii couldn't block permits, so they restricted where guns could be carried. Hawaii's law, with its broad bans and opt-in rule, was a direct response. The Supreme Court now had to decide if history supported such sweeping restrictions. Hawaii pointed to old laws regulating guns in specific places, but the court found no tradition of banning guns from nearly all public and private land. Justice Thomas wrote that Hawaii's law went far beyond any historical precedent. The court concluded Hawaii's approach defied rather than followed the standard. By making it nearly impossible to carry a gun, Hawaii violated the core right to self-defense. This decision sets a new limit on how far states can go in restricting public carry. The Supreme Court's decision will have immediate effects beyond Hawaii. States like California, New York, and New Jersey passed similar laws after. These laws are now on shaky ground, and legal challenges are already underway. Today's ruling signals that broad opt-in bans are unconstitutional. States will have to return to the traditional model. Businesses must post signs if they want to ban guns. Gun rights advocates see this as a major victory, making public carry a practical reality. Gun control supporters face a setback and must find new ways to regulate firearms. The ruling deepens the divide between states with permissive and strict gun laws. The Supreme Court has firmly sided with a broader interpretation of Second Amendment rights. This case is about more than guns. It's about rights, safety, and the balance of power in society. The decision shapes the nature of public spaces, affecting everyone, gun owner or not. Business owners now must decide whether to allow firearms, putting them at the center of a cultural debate. The ruling shifts the burden: businesses must post signs to prohibit guns, rather than being gun-free by default. It also raises questions about federalism and states' power to govern themselves. The Supreme Court reinforced that some constitutional rights, like the Second Amendment, are national in scope. States can't significantly curtail these rights, even if their voters want stricter controls. The case highlights the ongoing struggle between individual self-defense and community safety. The Supreme Court's decision draws a new line, empowering gun owners and frustrating gun control advocates. The outcome will shape laws, daily life, and the fabric of American communities for years to come. In a 6-3 decision, the Supreme Court struck down Hawaii's restrictive concealed carry law. The court ruled that banning guns from nearly all public places and private businesses by default violates the Second Amendment. This invalidates the opt-in model and reaffirms that the right to bear arms extends outside the home. States with similar laws will likely see them struck down and must find new ways to regulate guns. For now, licensed individuals can carry firearms in public and on private property unless a business posts a sign prohibiting them. The decision solidifies a broad interpretation of the right to self-defense in public spaces. It shifts the legal landscape, empowering gun owners and limiting state regulation. The long-term consequences will play out in legislatures, courts, and communities across the country.